For decades, headlines told a story of neglect. Philippine Air Force grounds fighter fleet, vast airspace left unguarded. These were not just words, but warnings echoing through the years, reminders of a nation's vulnerability. The skies above the Philippines stretched endlessly, beautiful yet unprotected, exposing the nation's ongoing struggle to modernize its defenses and keep pace with a rapidly changing world. When the F-5 Freedom Fighters were retired in 2005, no replacement came, leaving a gaping hole in air defense. The once proud jets sat idle, gathering dust and rust, silent witnesses to a fading era. Hopes for new jets like the F-16 or Gripen would rise with every new administration, only to crash against bureaucratic and financial walls. Each promise of modernization seemed to dissolve into endless delays and paperwork. The problem wasn't a lack of will or brave pilots, it was a system that made acquiring modern tools nearly impossible. Dedicated men and women trained and planned, but their hands were tied by red tape and outdated policies. Without credible air power, the Philippines couldn't monitor its vast territory or deter intrusions. The nation's borders, stretching over thousands of islands, remained vulnerable to those who would test them. The military made do with aging aircraft, focused more on internal security than territorial defense. Maintenance crews worked tirelessly to keep old planes flying, but technology lagged far behind regional neighbors. The dream of a modern Air Force seemed to drift further away each year as time passed and opportunities slipped by. Hopes faded with every sunset over empty runways. Public debates raged over which jet to buy, but the real issue was deeper. The conversation often missed the root of the problem, focusing on hardware instead of the system itself. The outdated legal framework prevented any significant long-term investment in security. Laws written for another era could not meet the demands of modern defense. Promises were made, presentations shown, but the skies remained empty of modern interceptors. Each briefing ended with hope, but little changed on the ground. The core challenge wasn't about picking a jet, it was about changing the rules that kept the nation grounded. True progress required more than just new planes. It demanded a new way of thinking. Until those rules changed, no new fighter could hope to patrol Philippine airspace. The story of the Philippine skies would remain one of waiting, hoping, and striving for a future still out of reach. The main obstacle standing in the way of progress was a set of outdated procurement laws, relics from a different era. These rules, originally designed to prevent corruption and misuse of public funds, demanded that the government provide full upfront funding for any major purchase, no matter how large. For a multi-billion peso fighter jet program, this meant the entire budget had to be set aside in a single year, an impossible task for a developing nation with limited resources and many competing priorities. This rigid one-year funding rule forced defense projects to be pushed back year after year, as they were simply too expensive to fund all at once. Many promising proposals never made it past the planning stage. The law also made it nearly impossible to accept foreign loans or financing for military hardware, cutting off a vital source of support that other countries routinely use. While infrastructure projects like roads and bridges could use loans and flexible payment terms, defense acquisitions faced much stricter rules, shutting out attractive offers from countries like Sweden or the US, who were willing to help modernize the fleet. Most nations spread the cost of jets and other military equipment over several years, making it manageable. But the Philippines was stuck with an all-or-nothing approach, unable to keep up with global standards. The result was constant delays, piecemeal purchases of equipment, and a complete lack of long-term planning. Modernization became a distant dream. The procurement process was slow, rigid, and bureaucratic, better suited for buying office supplies than for acquiring advanced supersonic jets or high-tech defense systems. The system simply wasn't built for the realities of modern defense, and it failed to adapt as the world changed around it. This legal straitjacket kept the Air Force grounded for years, unable to upgrade or even maintain its fleet properly. Real modernization was impossible under these rules, leaving the country's air defense stuck in the past and unable to face new challenges. For years, the public debate was dominated by a single question: which fighter jet should the country buy, the F-16 or the Gripen? News outlets, experts, and even social media were filled with heated arguments, technical comparisons, and passionate opinions. But all this noise missed the real issue at hand. The real problem wasn't about choosing between two advanced aircraft, It was about a procurement system that was fundamentally broken, riddled with inefficiencies and outdated processes that made any major purchase nearly impossible. Imagine you're trying to buy your dream house, but the bank insists you pay the entire mortgage up front within just 1 year. That's the kind of impossible demand the military faced every time it tried to modernize. No matter how urgent the need or how perfect the jet, if the government couldn't allocate the full cost in a single annual budget, the project was doomed from the start. The process was set up to fail. The system itself was the bottleneck, creating endless delays and frustration for everyone involved. The endless which jet debate was just a distraction, creating a false impression that the country's leaders were indecisive or lacked vision. In reality, the armed forces had a clear understanding of what they needed. They had studied the options, developed a strategy, and knew exactly what would best serve the nation's defense. The real struggle was not about technology or tactics, but about fighting against outdated laws and rigid budget rules that no longer made sense in a modern world. The most critical battle was for procurement reform. Without changing the system, no aircraft, no matter how advanced, could ever be acquired. Visionary leaders recognized that real progress depended on changing the rules. They knew that until the laws were updated, modernization would remain out of reach. The conversation needed to move beyond comparing jets. It had to focus on fixing the system itself, so that future generations wouldn't face the same obstacles. Only by reforming the system could true modernization begin, paving the way for a stronger, more capable Air Force and a more secure nation. The consequences of flawed procurement laws were severe. For over 15 years after the F-5s retired, the Philippines had no credible air intercept capability. The country's airspace was left defenseless, sending a message of weakness in a tense region. Unable to buy integrated systems, the military resorted to piecemeal purchases, mismatched equipment that didn't work well together. This patchwork approach created logistical nightmares and capability gaps. A modern Air Force is a system of systems: jets, radar, command centers, and trained personnel. The old laws made it nearly impossible to acquire all these components at once. The result: an Air Force with hardware but no cohesive defense network. Morale suffered as neighbors advanced while the Philippines lagged behind. The inability to project air power limited diplomatic and strategic options. Outdated rules didn't just block jet purchases, they undermined national security. The turning point came with amendments to the country's procurement law. Lawmakers introduced multi-year obligational authority, allowing defense contracts to be paid over several years. This shift made large-scale projects financially manageable and aligned with how modern defense systems are built. The new framework also allowed the Philippines to accept foreign government financing. Now the country could consider offers with government-backed loans and attractive terms. This reform leveled the playing field, giving the Philippines access to deals previously out of reach. Defense planners could finally think long-term and acquire complete integrated systems. The law dismantled the biggest barrier to modernization. A new era for Philippine defense had begun. The new law did more than solve a payment problem. It enabled smarter, holistic defense acquisitions. The Philippines could now pursue package deals, not just jets, but everything needed to operate them from day one. These packages include armaments, ground support, spare parts, maintenance facilities, and comprehensive training. Every component is designed to work together, ensuring seamless integration and interoperability. This approach saves time, money, and effort, and guarantees readiness from the start. Long-term contracts allow for future upgrades and local industry participation. The result: a strategic partnership that builds real, lasting capability. It's a far more effective way to invest in defense. Sweden's Saab Gripen offer is a real-world example of what the new law makes possible. The proposal wasn't just for jets, it was a comprehensive, government-backed package for a full air defense system. It included Gripen fighters and the Saab GlobalEye AEWC aircraft, a flying command center with powerful radar. The GlobalEye would detect threats, the Gripens would intercept them, a complete, integrated solution. The package also included training, logistics, and long-term support, ensuring sustainability. Technology transfer and local industry participation would help build the Philippines' aerospace sector. Financing was offered through a government-to-government loan, with payments spread over years. This type of deal was impossible under the old laws. The Swedish offer became a blueprint for future acquisitions: integrated, sustainable, and strategic. It showed how the right legal framework could transform national defense. Acquiring modern jets is just the beginning. Real air power comes from investing in people, processes, and infrastructure. The new system ensures Filipino pilots receive world-class training, mastering advanced tactics and networked operations. Continuous training keeps skills sharp and adapts to new threats. Ground crews, technicians, engineers, logistics are equally vital. Long-term support and technology transfer builds self-reliance and high aircraft availability. The military can now plan decades ahead, knowing the procurement system supports future upgrades and evolving strategies. This shift enables a proactive, long-term vision for national defense. The focus moves from just buying jets to building a complete air power ecosystem. That's the most profound change of all. Reforming procurement laws was a historic achievement, a turning point for Philippine security. For the first time in a generation, the country has the tools to build a modern military. This isn't just about one project, it's a sustainable path for long-term modernization. Implementation is the true test. It requires good governance, transparency, and political will. The government must manage funds wisely. The military must absorb and integrate new technology. Success will reshape the security landscape, providing credible deterrence and stronger sovereignty. A capable Air Force protects resources, livelihoods, and strengthens alliances. This investment is ultimately for peace and stability. The legacy will be measured in security and prosperity for future generations. The sky is no longer the limit. It's the new frontier of Philippine security.